Right now, without any effort, without any awareness, your body is doing something extraordinary. It is quietly dismantling itself and rebuilding from scratch. Your skin, the largest organ you own, the thing that has covered you your entire life, is not the same skin you had 2 months ago. It has been replaced, completely. And here's the part that stops people cold. It will keep doing this, again and again, for as long as you live. Your skin never stops growing, and the reason why is stranger and more elegant than most people ever realize. Most of us carry a quiet assumption about our bodies. We think growth belongs to childhood. You get taller, your bones lengthen, eventually it all levels off, and you become, in some sense, finished. A completed version of yourself. But your skin never received that memo. It is in a state of permanent, controlled revolution. Every single day, while you are working, sleeping, sitting in traffic, your skin is shedding old cells and manufacturing new ones at a pace that is almost industrial in scale. To understand how this works, you need to travel inward, past what you can see or touch. Beneath the surface of your skin, there is a layer called the epidermis, and at its very base, pressed against the deeper tissue below, sits a single row of cells called the basal layer. These are the architects. The stem cells here are constantly dividing, producing new daughter cells that immediately begin a slow, steady journey upward toward the surface. Each new cell is essentially born at the bottom and spends its entire existence migrating toward the light. As those cells climb, something remarkable happens to them. They start to change. They flatten. They harden. They begin producing a tough protein called keratin that turns them into a kind of biological armor. And then, in what might be the strangest plot twist in your own body, they die. Deliberately. On purpose. By the time a skin cell reaches the outer surface, it has sacrificed itself to become part of a protective shield, a dead, interlocking lattice of flattened cells that stands between you and the outside world. You are walking around wearing a coat made of your own dead, and then those cells fall away. This process has a name, desquamation, and it happens silently, invisibly, constantly. You shed skin cells every moment of the day. When you pull on a shirt, when you scratch your arm, when you simply breathe and move, cells are leaving. That fine layer of dust collecting on your bookshelf, a significant portion of it is you. Specifically, it is the outermost layer of the person you used to be. The scale of this is worth sitting with for a moment. Humans shed approximately 500 million skin cells every single day. Not per year, per day. That is not a rounding error or an approximation. That is the relentless, never-pausing arithmetic of your biology. 500 million departures and 500 million replacements, happening so quietly that you never feel a thing. So if the skin is always replacing itself, why does it seem to age? Why do wrinkles appear? Why does the skin of a 60-year-old look different from the skin of a 20-year-old if both are supposedly running this perpetual renewal engine? Here is where it gets genuinely interesting, because the answer reveals that the renewal system does not stay constant. It slows down. The rate of skin cell turnover naturally decreases as you age. In younger skin, the full cycle from birth at the basal layer to shedding at the surface takes roughly 28 days, about a month. But that timeline stretches as you get older, potentially doubling to around 56 days. The factory is still running. The workers are still there, but the pace has shifted. Cells linger longer at the surface. Dead cells accumulate. The skin begins to look less vibrant, not because renewal stopped, but because it slowed. Think of it like a conveyor belt that is gradually dialing back its speed. The older you get, the longer each batch of cells spends on the line. Products begin to stack up. The system is not broken, it is aged. And that distinction matters because it means the skin never truly stops trying. It just tries more slowly. Your skin at 80 is still regenerating, still rebuilding. The ambition never quits, even if the speed changes. Now here is where the story takes a genuinely unexpected turn. Because not all skin is created equal. And that becomes brutally obvious the moment something goes wrong. Cut yourself, a minor injury, and within days the epidermis has largely closed, sealed. The surface layer heals so efficiently it almost seems like nothing happened. But go deeper, and the story changes completely. Beneath the epidermis lies a deeper layer called the dermis. And unlike its neighbor above, the dermis has a very limited capacity to regenerate. When severe damage reaches the dermis, deep burns, significant wounds, the body cannot simply rebuild it cleanly. Instead, it fills the gap with something faster and less precise: scar tissue. The skin above can renew itself endlessly, but the foundation beneath it, that is far less forgiving. One layer is a master of renewal. The other is nearly permanent once disrupted. This asymmetry is one of the most fascinating design puzzles in your body. Why would evolution build a system where the outer surface can renew itself with almost magical efficiency, while the deeper layer, the structural bedrock, can barely repair itself at all? The answer, it turns out, has everything to do with what each layer is actually for. The epidermis faces the world. It takes daily damage from sun, friction, bacteria, chemicals. It has to be replaceable. The dermis holds your shape. It is the scaffolding, and scaffolding, once damaged, is hard to rebuild without collapsing the structure. Scientists have spent years trying to understand exactly what controls this whole system. What tells basal stem cells when to divide, when to differentiate, when to slow down. Research out of Northwestern University identified a key molecular mechanism that governs skin regeneration. The specifics get complex quickly, but the core insight is striking. The skin's renewal process is not just happening automatically on autopilot. It is actively regulated. There are biological signals, switches, feedback loops, a control system quietly managing your surface every single day. And at the center of that control system are the stem cells in the basal layer. These cells face a decision every time they divide. They can produce a copy of themselves, keeping the stem cell pool alive, or they can produce a daughter cell that will begin the journey upward and eventually become part of the surface. It is a constant balancing act. Too many copies of themselves, and the system stalls. Too many daughters sent upward too fast, and the stem cell reserve depletes. The skin has to manage this ratio every day for your entire life. Researchers at Yale School of Medicine have been exploring how to unlock the skin's natural healing potential, essentially asking whether we can nudge those stem cells to work more efficiently or to direct their behavior more precisely. The fact that this research exists at all reveals something profound. The skin's regenerative system is not just a passive biological quirk. It is a frontier, one that scientists believe holds genuine potential for treating chronic wounds, skin conditions, and the effects of aging. So, let's bring this back to you. Your skin is not a static covering. It is not finished. It is not simply the body bag you inhabit. It is a living, thinking, in the biological sense, actively managed system that has been rebuilding itself layer by layer, roughly every month to 2 months, for your entire existence. Every version of the surface you have ever shown the world was temporary. Every scar, every sunburn, every blemish, absorbed, dismantled, and gradually replaced by something new. There is something quietly moving about that. You carry the impression that your body stopped growing at some point, that you arrived at a final form, and now you are simply maintaining it. But your skin disagrees. It has been in a state of perpetual becoming since before you were born. The cells doing that work right now were not alive 4 months ago. The ones doing it in 4 months do not yet exist. And yet the you that looks back from the mirror stays recognizable. Continuity from constant change. So the next time you look at your skin, really look at it. Understand that what you are seeing is the most recent output of a system that has never once taken a day off. Those cells at the surface are days away from being shed. New ones are already climbing to replace them. The factory below your surface is open, right now, producing the next version of you. And here's the question that sits with me after all of this. If your skin rebuilds itself completely, again and again, every few weeks, what exactly does it mean to say you have the same body you were born with? What part of you, if any, is truly permanent?